Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm It's Robbie Rhino and Happy New Year to everyone out there. I hope you all have a great year and a lot of fun tanking, and we're going to get stuck straight into the content with this video that takes a look at the T95E3, which is the level 100 free reward for the British invasion season. Unfortunately, it is the free reward for a lot of people that have actually picked this tank up in recent sales. I'm not a big fan of how Wargaming are doing that at the moment, where a tank will be on sale or something like that offered to you, and then the following month it will be the earn op or something like that, or in the season. Yeah, I'm not fond of that. Fortunately for me, I didn't pick it up first time around, so I earned it, or I've just recently earned it because this season has taken me slightly longer than usual. But yeah, I highly recommend you get this tank if you can finish the season, get to level 100, and obviously you don't have to buy the season pass. You can just work your way towards level 100 and get this for free, and it's probably the best tank in Era 1, or one of the most powerful tanks in Era 1, maybe alongside the Object 268 Eastern Alliance tank destroyer. It's got a fantastic gun, really nice armor, decent mobility, and it's definitely a powerhouse of Era 1, and I should tell you why. So we're going to head on into the statistics. I'll show you my commander and equipment setup, and then I have two gameplays for you. The second is a really nice game, an 11,500 combined game, which is pretty nice for Era 1, and it shows you what this tank is capable of in terms of earning silver and how much XP you can get, and how dominant this tank can be. So straight out of the box, this tank has a 50% silver bonus, 25% XP bonus, and a 10% crew XP bonus. You get 2,000 hit points, which is pretty nice for Era 1, and a 475 meters view range, which you can make work. Mobility wise, it does slightly struggle a little bit compared to some of the other tanks that you will meet in Era 1. Unfortunately, it has that sort of designation of being a medium tank, so some people might be sort of lured into thinking it's extremely mobile, extremely quick, but it's kind of like a hybrid medium heavy tank in my opinion due to the armor. But you can improve that mobility with the equipment that you'll see later on. Mobility wise, it has a 500 horsepower engine with a 13.69 power to weight ratio. You go 15.6 kilometers an hour forwards, 21 kilometers an hour backwards, which is still really nice. The hull traverse is good at 36 degrees a second, but unfortunately the turret traverse is 26 degrees a second, which is lacking slightly, but it doesn't really affect its playstyle too much. Armor wise, it's really good news for this tank. On the turret, you have 250mm of armor on the front, 150 on the sides, and 40 on the rear. You can get that to about sort of 280mm of effective armor on the turret using your 10 degrees of gun depression. It has a weak point, which is the cupola on top, which is about 190mm dead on in the strongest part. But you can sort of get that to about 220 to 250mm of effective armor if you use your gun depression in some areas of the cupola, especially if you're sort of moving about on a ridgeline, which this tank excels at. The lower plate is garbage at 76mm, and if you're angling, you're going to get that only above 100mm, sort of 100 to 115mm of effective armor, so nothing spectacular, so don't expect to bounce anything off your lower plate. And the upper hull, it's got an upper plate of about 200mm effective armor. I think the surface is actually 95mm to 100mm, so yeah, when you're angling at about 45 degrees, you get that to about 200 sort of millimeters of effective armor due to the sloping. There is a little band of armor at the top of the hull, which is about 300mm if you angle it, which is right at the top of the upper hull. And if you're using your gun depression, the armor sort of ranges from 220 to 300mm of effective armor. Especially if you're angling, you will increase that effectiveness even more. So get hull down, use your gun depression, angle a little bit, sort of 40-45 degrees, and you should be golden with this turret and the upper hull. And yeah, keep moving side to side, trying to avoid people shooting into your cupola. Gun-wise, it's also good news. It's got a fantastic 105mm gun with 6.06 rounds a minute. It has 390 alpha damage on its AP and its heat rounds, and it has 480 alpha damage on its HE rounds, but I only carry AP. I don't fire any of the heat at all. I don't feel like it's necessary, but obviously you are more than welcome to. Heat will not lose penetration over distance, so that could be good for longer range sniping if that's your kind of jam, but I recommend you get on a ridgeline and play this thing up close and personal. Penetration wise, it's 261 with the AP, 330 with the heat, and 53mm with the HE. Shell velocity is quite nice at 1067 on the AP, 1128 on the heat, and 1080 on the HE. It's not quite as good as some of the APCR rounds you'll see in Cold War, but it's not too bad, and you will learn after playing a few rounds sort of how best to lead your shots with this with these rounds. You have a 9.9 second base reload, a 2 second aim time, which is really nice, 0.35 accuracy, which is really good, 10 degrees of gun depression, which is really flexible on ridge lines, and 20 degrees of elevation, which is also really nice to have. That's a good sort of thing if you're going to be shooting up when you're sort of reversing up and trying to shoot up hills, that kind of thing. It carries plenty of rounds at 42, and all in all you get a DPM of 2,363, which is really good. So, equipment wise, I run advanced loader, gun stabilizer, and I use a traction system to try and get my mobility just a little bit better to keep up with some of the faster lights and medium tanks. And on my commander I run 6th Sense, Born Leader, Rapid Loading, Steady Aim, Rapid Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Situational Awareness, and Armour Angling. And if you wanted to, you could probably take out Situational Awareness for clutch braking or track or general mechanic. So that game was a really nice game with a first class, picking up 6.6k direct damage, 1300 assistance, 3 kills. We make 363,000 silver, blocking 1,120, and that's a very sort of standard game that I've been having in this tank since I've got it. So we're going to hop on into the second replay now, the really good replay of the video, and I'll quickly talk you through what my statistics are now with my commander and equipment setup, and yeah, and then we'll look at the gameplay in the background. So we're now into the second replay of the video, and we're here on Thiepval Ridge, and I'll just talk you through what my statistics are now. I really struggle to say that then, with my commander and equipment setup, and what you can expect if you use a similar setup to mine. So I now have a 528 meters view range. With the traction system I now go just shy of 62 kilometers an hour forwards at 61.94. I go 23 kilometers an hour backwards with a 13.69 power to weight ratio. My turret traverse has improved to 29.83, so just shy of 30 degrees a second, and my hull traverse is now 39.6, so just shy of 40 degrees a second. Gun wise, my accuracy is now 0.31 accuracy, 1.92 aim time, and I now have a DPM of 3,042. And just a little word on the DPM, so sort of base, you get just a little bit less than the T95E3, which was, I think, the first premium tank in Cold War in Era 1 when it first came out, when Cold War was first released. But I feel like this tank does sort of just take the edge off that tank in terms of the armour and all-round sort of capabilities of that tank, and that sort of gun depression is really, really nice. So here on Thiepval Ridge, I've come to the western flank. I've come to the sort of 2-line. I know there's a lot of ridge lines here and a lot of brawling happens. You do have to be a little bit careful where I'm aiming now at that T54. There are tanks that like to hide up in those sort of hills, and even with true vision it can be quite difficult to see them through the foliage, but we've caught out this T54 and he's just been finished off by our friendly T54, and we've already picked up 1.1k direct damage and 880 assistance. And you can just see how sort of effective this tank can be on ridge lines. I'm going to sneak up here using the foliage. I'm going to try and get a shot into the side of that Centurion too, but unfortunately we derp it into the ground by the looks of it. But we do get a second chance there, a lovely tracking shot through the tracks of the Centurion to track him in place, get some more assistance, and we were just hoping to get a finishing shot. We're just going to rock backwards and forwards to use this rock as cover, and we're just going to be firing at things in the distance that are getting spotted by our friendlies. We could push up a little bit more, which is probably what I'll do a little bit later in this replay, but while I have shots, I'm just going to sit here, use my gun depression, try and get as hidden as possible, so if they do get shots on me, they will be only firing at my sort of upper hull and my turret. Going for the tracks on this T94A, just trying to increase our assistance damage. You know, more assistance, more damage means better XP, more silver, and better all-round games. And I think I've now sort of decided I want to try and push forward and be the one spotting for myself. If you didn't know already, if you are the one spotting the targets for yourself and your friendlies, you do get more experience points, and yeah, that's how you get your mastery badges and that kind of thing. So I'm going to push up using the sort of hills here, just being wary that things can shoot me in the side, but I can't pass up an opportunity to shoot that SU-122-54 in the side. That's a very sort of dangerous tank if it stays hidden. Try and get that one out of the game, and you'll just see there how slow this shell velocity is compared to the faster APCR rounds in Cold War, but you can still make it work, and I've kind of had a few games in this, so I've learned how to sort of lead my targets as well as I can. So it's been a really good game up to now. I was going to carry on pushing up towards the sort of north, but I've noticed that our cap's under threat, and I'm just going to try and push right now and reset the cap and get into a position where I'm safe. I knew I was going to take at least one shot here on my way to this ridgeline straight in front of me, but I didn't expect to only take one shot. I thought I might take more than one shot. This poor old Centurion 2, I don't know if it's a new player or they've just kind of given up and they've kind of got themselves into a pickle, but they're just driving out in the open. The cap is no longer, or it was no longer being contested, so I had a chance to sit here and pound shot after shot into the Centurion 2. Unfortunately for us, the Centurion 5-1 noticed that and we tunnel visioned a little bit there, but we're going toe to toe with this Centurion 5-1, and we kind of have a little bit of a disadvantage in the fact that we started with less hit points than the Centurion 5-1 did, but we're going to try and angle as best as possible, and we managed to get a shot in without him returning a shot, and then he comes round and bounces off us, where we absorb the shot. And as you can see, I was just angling at 45 degrees, hoping to bait a shot into my tracks, trying to bounce one off my hull, or hoping that he fires into my turret. And if something's coming towards you like that, you want to sort of angle at 45, or just try and face hug them and hope that they shoot your turret, if they don't have the gun depression like some of the Eastern Alliance tanks do. And now we have this opportunity to use this here in this ridgeline here to get shots into the T95A and the other medium tank behind. And already we've picked up 5.8k damage, 2.3k assistance and block 780, and this is just a perfect demonstration of what this tank is capable of. Try and get high enough there to get a shot into the T95A as he escapes, but unfortunately we didn't get high enough, and now we have the rear of this M48A5, and we're going to just farm as much damage as we can. Going to aim for the tracks, trying to keep him in place there, keep advancing after every shot, just so in the hopes that we can get higher and try and get to the next target after he's taken out. Another shot into the side there, picking up some more damage and taking our damage total to 6.8k direct. And now we're just going to keep rocking backwards and forwards, trying to spot tanks that are in the distance. I do have 495 hit points to play with, but that might not last long if all three of the enemies shoot me at once, so I'm just trying to be a little bit careful while also trying to push the tempo just that little bit more. But I think I've just decided now to go for it. I'm always quite confident in this tank's armour, that I might bounce at least one or two shots when I'm driving especially. They might hit a sort of funky angle on my hull or my turret. Get one shot into that M48, but he's going down into the trenches into cover, so now we're just going to use our traction system, use our mobility that we've enhanced, trying to get over to the Centurion 5-1. By us pushing forward, we're the one that spotted him, so we got the assistance for that. I've enhanced my combat rations, which means my view range is better, my DPM's better, and that's what I try and do when I'm moving from target to target, trying to spot out and try and use my mobility sort of as an advantage for me, not just getting to the target but also spotting people on the way. So this Centurion 5-1's looking like he might come up over the ridge, and if he does, we're going to aim for the tracks, trying to track him in place high enough so that our teammates will get shots into him. We're going to reverse lap into a position where we can damage and track him at the same time. And he's absolutely gone now. It looks like he hasn't got a repair kit or a good enough commander to be able to repair in time. And we're just going to put shot after shot into this Centurion 5-1. Our friendlies aren't finishing him off, so as he comes over, we're just going to put our last shell into his lower plate and finish him off for an absolutely fantastic round where we finish MVP, 8.4k direct damage, 3.1k assistance, we get 2 kills, we get the mastery badge, we get 1782 experience, and we make a bucket ton of silver. And I hope that demonstrates to you all how good this tank is and what it's capable of. We made 470,000 silver there with like a 1.5 times silver boost perhaps, so that might even be just raw, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I highly recommend you get this tank. It's really powerful. If you like playing an Era 1, you will absolutely dominate in this thing. So that's it for this video. I hope you've all had a really nice time with New Year's Eve, and I hope you all have a great new year. There'll be lots of more content to come. Until next time, I'll see you on the battlefield, and bye for now.